I am one of the best running backs, if not the best running back in the league.
Does it get any better with JJ McCarthy? That's the scary thing.
It's the hope that kills you. It really is.
I was thinking to myself, tell you what, I'm quids in here.
They just look like the real deal, and it's so fun to watch.
Welcome back to the Early Hours podcast. The Buymageddon was in full swing this week. 6 teams on a bye, and guys, you should have seen the look on my face when I opened the fantasy app to see my work league. I completely forgot about it. 15 minutes before red zone, a sea of red. Honestly, 9 or 10 players just out or not playing, and by that point, I'm cooked. There's not a lot you can do in that situation. No point dropping half your team to try and get a dub for 1 week alone. So you just got to take the loss and move on. Another team that took the loss this week were the Vikings. They lost to the Chargers 37-10, and if you listen closely, you can probably hear the sirens, the alarm bells. Justin Jefferson without a touchdown for another week going. Like, what is going on with him?
It's just crazy, isn't it? It really is. And what's hilarious about it all is he still balls out and gets over 8,000 career receiving yards in the game. It just doesn't seem to be happening for them, does it, at quarterback? And there's a lot of concern there. I did also just want to mention, really, really not that sympathetic for you and your work fantasy woes when you decided to ball out against me. I really wish you'd had 9 or so missing players against my team. But anyway, whole different story. Yeah, it was a weird fixture. I think the defense for the Vikings kind of made the Chargers look better than they were, in my opinion, and that's no discredit to Justin Herbert. Look, he still threw 3 touchdown passes. He rushed for over 60 yards, so they balled out. It's just, I think they kind of left it on a plate for them, Minnesota, unfortunately.
And a couple of players that capitalised on that really well. You know, look at Lad McConkey, Kamani Vidal, and then Gadsden, the tight end. Justin Herbert said this week that they're going to try and get the ball to Gadsden as much as possible. And yeah, it was him and Lad McConkey in the receiving game. I know there's going to be a lot of Quentin Johnson owners who are very unhappy. It's his first ever game with 0 receptions. But they got the job done. Like you said, the Vikings defence just wasn't at the races, and the Chargers, they're up and down at the minute. But again, looks good on Thursday, and it's worrying for the Vikings. Obviously, Max Brosmer is breathing down Carson Wentz's neck, and the issue you've got for them at quarterback is, does it get any better with JJ McCarthy? That's the scary thing.
And to celebrate National Tight End Day this week as well. Look, Trey McBride didn't play, but we're in his shirt. But speaking of probably, I would say, the best tight end in the league at the moment, Tucker Kraft was the catalyst that destroyed Oliver's hopes and dreams. 143 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was the catalyst to help the Packers beat the Steelers 35-25. I'm sorry about your loss, Oliver, but as a Packers fan, you've got to be happy with that.
Best tight end in the league. What a claim. Do I agree? I'm not quite sure just yet, as much as I am a Tucker Kraft stan, but he is firmly putting himself in the top 5 conversation. That's
He's him.
Cemented in my opinion. He's him. 7 receptions. You spoke about the yardage already. I did want to delve a little bit more into that yardage, because what's scary from both a real life standpoint and all our opponents in the NFL, but also a fantasy manager's dream, he's producing 131 of those 143 yards as yards after the catch. So that man is literally getting a screen pass most times and absolutely taking it to the house. So yeah, unbelievable. Did want to also just touch on Jordan Love. Obviously, what an absolute ball out game. Certainly that second half, he was clinical. 29 of 37, 360 yards, 3 touchdowns, and what an amazing stat for him on a night where he comes up against his old master. 20 straight completions, which now ties Brett Favre for the franchise record. And that was really special. And the Go Pack, even Rodgers said in his presser afterwards, he could hear the Go Pack Go chants in the stands. And, you know, he's heard that chant for 18 plus years. It was quite familiar for him. So yeah, mega game, really, really interesting to watch, and awesome result.
Yeah. 100%. Look, no love lost either between Rodgers and Love, which I think is really nice to see. You touched upon Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers as well. They both fall into the 27 club. Jordan Love, he turns 27 next month. Rodgers and Favre both won the Super Bowl when they were 27. Is it written in the stars?
Top in the NFC. Who knows? Who knows? I can't jinx it anymore. Let's move on, please.
Okay, well, look, that takes the Packers to 5-1, like you say, top of the NFC. So the Steelers, they're kind of falling down in their way now, 4-3. But yeah, that AFC is completely blown open with other teams dropping, and then other teams like the Colts completely balling out. But that does bring us on to the Sunday slate, and the first game I just want to touch upon briefly is the 49ers at the Texans. Guys, I am still so full of brisket. I can't lie. It was a great night last night, the 49ers watch party at Hickory Smokehouse. Shame about the result when the Texans beat the Niners 26-15. Quiet day at the office for CMC there. And Houston, we do not have a problem. I think they're back on the horse. Speaking of horses, it was a rodeo. Broncos, Cowboys 44-24 respectively. This Denver side, they seem to be unstoppable. And now they go 6-2.
I think the only game where they've looked pretty poor was London when we got to see them, which is just about our luck. Yeah, I mean, Bo Nix again, sort of driving them to where they need to be, and J.K. Dobbins as well from the line of scrimmage looked really, really good. Quick on the Cowboys, I know it's sort of Oliver's second favourite team, but Dak with a really tough evening. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens both doing okay, but again, it's kind of Javonte Williams or bust over there. But yeah, just couldn't get it going in time. And like I said, the Broncos look really good when it matters, and it's nice to see Bo Nix and those guys doing well.
Yeah, well, speaking of Oliver's favourite team as well, just quickly, Jake Ferguson, 0 points. 0 points for that man.
Tragic night on tight ends day for old Jakey boy. But
it wasn't for Tucker Kraft, though, the best tight end in the league.
Thanks for the reminder. Yeah, the best tight end in the league. Yeah, I just think it comes down to the Dallas defense essentially, and ultimately, whilst it looks like an offensive disaster for Dak and CD and people like that, it just put the pressure back on them. They were on all the time. They were getting pressed all the time. You know, even without Satan for large portions of the game, CD Lamb was just in man coverage all night. Pickens was probably the more open of the two, but still very frustrated. And yeah, Bo Nix, you partner that with a pretty solid Bo Nix performance.
Yeah, Bo Nix proving to be absolutely clinical in the red zone there, finding whoever he wants to find. It's, like you said, Smells, definitely not something that we could say when we saw him in London. But look, another team completely balling out at the moment as well. The 7-1 Colts. Jonathan Taylor running for 153 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 1 receiving.
Man, the Colts, I think probably everyone's sort of second favourite team in the minute. And like you say, they're leading the AFC, actually the best record in the whole NFL. Jonathan Taylor once again proving why he is a top 3 would probably be a bit harsh on him, to be honest. Running back in the league at the minute. And
MVP.
Michael Pittman, well, why not? I mean, certainly offensive player of the year potentially, but Michael Pittman as well looking really good. And, you know, Dan Jones, wow, 272 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. You know, if he's doing that whilst Jonathan Taylor's going for over 150 yards rushing, they just don't give the other team the chance. And I think the Titans did well to get 14 on the board, to be honest, because the Colts, week by week, I know they're not playing amazing teams, but they just look like the real deal, and it's so fun to watch.
When I tell you that by the 3rd touchdown, I was thinking to myself, tell you what, I'm quids in here. This is looking pretty good. The projections have shaken up. Everything's back in my favour. And lo and behold, I woke up with, my iPad in front of me from where I was watching SNF in bed, just absolutely half asleep, to just another loss on my fantasy sheet. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that is the ups and downs of being a fantasy manager. Have you seen the edits that the Colts fans are doing at the moment? Obviously, Dan Jones wears number 17, so they're flipping the number around and they're saying now 7-1 on his shirt.
Nice.
It's so genius. What a guy. What a guy Dan Jones is.
Yeah, he's balling out.
He's balling out.
It just shows you when you get a good O-line and you get a scheme that suits a quarterback, it just goes hand in hand. And they were talking about this in the week. He's been out for drinks. He's been out for sporting events with the head coach. They're really close, and it's obviously working. They've got this really good dynamic. So, yeah, really interesting to watch. What a team at the minute. Awesome.
The Eagles 38, Giants 20. Philadelphia getting their revenge from a couple of weeks ago. Saquon Barkley having a standout game against his former side. However, terrible news for Scatterbo.
Just devastating, isn't it? Dislocated ankle, they believe it is. Still TBC on whether it's more damaging than that. But fingers crossed for the Giants it is, and that means he can be on a speedy recovery and at least, get a good off-season in. But yeah, Barkley, that's the star of the show here, and there's no two ways about it. I think was it a 65-yard touchdown run?
Yeah, mate, that was like the first couple of plays as well, wasn't it? It caught him off guard so quickly.
Yeah. And he really is one of those type of players that if and by the way, myself included, I've openly spoke about how he's been disappointing this year. you forget, you kind of stand there on your high horse and you go, oh, well, he's not been amazing. And actually it reminds you, he goes, it's the disrespect of just, I am one of the best running backs, if not the best running back in the league, step off, and he does a 65-yard touchdown like that. So that was incredible. And actually Jalen Hurts again, actually in the air looking a bit better. I think he was still reliant on Barkley, but a few giggles there. I can't linger on that too long. I've iced him enough. But also just more concerningly, Barkley might have a potential groin injury, so we'll have to monitor that. And we'll definitely be bringing another update on Thursday's episode. But yeah, that could be an issue, couldn't it, for the best passer in the league?
It was a good week for Barkley, actually. If you're gonna ball out and remind people who you are, you want to do it when Bijan Robinson and CMC put up less than 10 points combined, Smales.
For everyone that doesn't know, they are my two star players in the fantasy, and obviously, I mean, you look at the Bijan against the Dolphins, and I had our two good friend, my fellow podcaster, saying he might go for 50 points. He didn't get 5. So, yeah.
It's the hope that kills you. It really is.
That's what we love about the NFL, I mean, the Dolphins, who saw that 34-10? And the Falcons haven't looked amazing the last couple of weeks, but wow, they struggled yesterday.
Just a quick one on the Patriots-Browns. The Patriots 32, Browns 13, and Myles Garrett making franchise history.
How they consistently lose games with Myles Garrett on the defensive side of the ball is astounding. It really is. But it's what happens when you don't invest in the offense and have a quarterback just yet. So 5 sacks, a single game record for the Browns, and a franchise record for the Browns. So incredible performance, and 5 sacks is just monumental for Myles Garrett, but just can't seem to pick up a win, can they, despite his efforts?
But they are against the Patriots, and Drake May is balling out.
I say, unfortunately for Myles, he said in his press conference after, what can you do when the offense does what it does? But I'm really sorry, Myles, but you kind of signed up for that by re-signing with the Browns. We all agree he's the best edge rusher in the league, but he stayed for the money and not the wins, and unfortunately, he's got a career of just doing that, I believe.
And that's game I think we should really focus on. Some celebration, perhaps, or lack thereof. But look, they've eliminated their duck. The Jets now 1-7 after beating the Bengals 38-39. Wow, very close, but look, a win's a win.
Absolutely, and Aaron Glenn was ecstatic. There was literally a sigh of relief on the sideline. So it all came down to the run game, didn't it? They finally broke through with that run game, and they've been speaking about it since day one, since preseason. We're going to run the ball, and Breece Hall had an absolute day. 133 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, and a game-winning pass from Breece Hall as well, which was crazy for a 4-yard touchdown. So yeah, crazy. And credit to their O-line as well. They managed to protect Justin Fields a lot better today. And ultimately, coming back from 15 was just, I think, a real statement win, and I will be gobsmacked if Aaron Glenn's not using that as motivation for the rest of the season. But yeah,
I'm going to be gobsmacked if Aaron Glenn survives the rest of the season. I don't think we can be cheering on a win when you're 1-7. I don't think that's enough to save him. I as simple as that, I do not think that is enough to save his job.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because you've got him, you've got Justin Fields as well. I think the likelihood was that Tyrod Taylor would have probably started ahead of Fields this week, and Fields played well and they got the win. So if Taylor can be fit next week, does Fields keep his spot? I hope so. But then just quickly, the other side of the ball, I mean, we've spoke so much this year, last year, for a couple of years, how bad the Bengals defense is, but that's why they lost it. Joe Flacco looked good again. And, you got Jamar Chase involved, you got T. Higgins involved, and
Chase Brown involved.
Exactly, Chase Brown both receiving and rushing, and, Flacco's doing a good job over there. It's just a god-awful defence. I mean, the game itself was pretty poor quality, which provided great entertainment, and as a non-Bengals, non-Jets fan, I'm here for it. Come on, guys.
And the Jets now going into a bye week. I think Aaron Glenn on thin ice, like I say. If you're going to sack anybody, I think it causes less disruption when you're not facing or playing a game that week. And then coming up tonight, some Monday Night Football action. It's the 3-4 Commanders at the 4-3 Chiefs. I think this is what Monday Night Football is all about. 2 teams capable of putting up big points. I think the Chiefs come out with a win here if Mahomes keeps up with the current form that he's in.
Completely agree. Yeah, completely agree. The Commanders coming off 2 pretty tough losses, a 1-point loss to the Bears and then getting pretty heavily beat by the Cowboys last week. I think their injuries look a little bit better. We're hearing that Terry McLaurin could be back, Debo could be back, so that could turn it around. But for me, Pat Mahomes and Rashee Rice, and obviously Trav Kelce's playing well as well, to be fair, they get the job done at home. I think they're 3-1 this season at Arrowhead, and yeah, I can see nothing but a Chiefs win. So that probably means the Commanders will do it.
For me, it boils down to that home advantage. I think they've been so dominant, like we just said. They're 3-1 at home this season, and they've averaged 25.1 points per game at home. The Commanders have allowed 27.6 points per game away from home. So it really is teed up for the Chiefs to run wild and Mahomes to have another field day, I reckon. It also probably comes down for me to the pass rush as well. Can we see a little bit of pressure on Mahomes with his usual pocket magic? Who knows? But that'll be the deciding factor. Can you contain him? Can you stop him? As it always is with Patrick Mahomes.
So we're all in agreement then that we're all back in the Chiefs. Is that what I'm hearing?
It's a clean sweep, my friend.
Yeah, so like Smell said, congratulations, Washington, on your win tonight. That is all we've got time for on the Early Hours podcast today. Make sure you check back on the Thursday's episode and let us know who you've got for the game tonight in the comments below. We'll see you then.